Yeah, and very interestingly here, I guess you could have just an off-lane Tusk. We've seen IO Tusk before. It's a really, really good lane, but at the same time, I feel like you would want that Tusk being a 5 just because then it would end up playing versus the Tide Hunter, and we always talk about how spells like Tag Team are just exactly what you'd like versus him, but Lava are in an interesting spot, and
Oh.
more importantly, they didn't ban out the Invoker, which is exactly what they did in the first game for a very good reason. And I think now Angel's game is getting more and more set up, and I can only imagine they're going to go for those kind of more ultra carries. But more importantly, the hero that I'm thinking about is they could have just picked Disruptor right here. Not only do they have Disruptor versus Tide and Nyx, then you also just take it away from your opponents. I think that Pandaboo would be pleased to play that hero yet again. Even though into Tusk, it's whatever. You can snowball through the kinetic field. It's not exactly the best thing in the world, but
Oh.
Lich. Okay. That's real different, but that's an old Pandaboo favorite, and it plays incredibly well versus the Tusk.
Hmm. And I do want to go back to that Tusk for just a second because sort of lost my mind for a second there. Kind of forgot Kim slash Moose. He is the IO player. We just saw it in the previous game
Mm-hmm.
as well. So the position for IO is much more Lava's speed compared to some other squads. So that does put the Tusk in that position to play that position 5 role. But now Lich on the other side can be unbelievably
Ooh.
annoying for them to deal with as Lava go in for the Slark.
Yeah, that's a classic. Just really nice hero versus both the Nyx and the Tide. Not to mention that usually we see it banned out. Typically, when this Tide just get picked up in the first phase, that's one of the big drawbacks of first phasing Tide. It's usually preceded with you ban out the Monkey, you ban out the Sark, you ban out the PL, and then you kind of move along with your day. But to focus down and really make Frank struggle for his hero pick, they have given over a very strong choice for Kataro, and one that, sure, Thunder Predator can definitely look to counter pick or try to get the advantage on an Angels pick. But at the same time, there's nothing they can do to fix that lane. There's no rotation coming from the Invoker that could just set that right. That's just something you're going to have to live with now going forward.
Yeah, that Slark has the ability to just sort of get in there, and then at that point, it really doesn't matter who the laning partner is. If it's a Tusk or the Io, you're still going to have a Slark coming at you with some sort of buff up. So feels like it's very nicely done by Lava, a hero that Kataro uh, is very familiar with. Doesn't quite get as many opportunities to play it anymore, considering Slark is still very much a kind of niche pick in that position 1 role, but he gets the chance to flex it now in a position where Lava really do need him to come through for them. Obviously, even if they lose this series, you only end up going down to that lower bracket, so you're not going to get kicked out, but, well, that sort of mindset is the kind that I don't think Lava are even considering at the moment. They are just assuming they're going to take game 2 and push on to a third match here. Anything else is not really useful to think about.
Oh, and I'm thinking now what Angel could possibly want to play. Of course, the first hero that comes to mind is definitely just his Luna. If it's not the Luna, then what else do you want him to play? Whenever we talk about Angel, of course, the first two that come to mind are his TB, his Medusa, but it's something that now, what do you actually want to play? And they don't know about the Tusk. More importantly, this could just be a last pick to kind of clear the board here. I think Tusk Slark is a really good lane versus the Tide and the Nyx Assassin, so they're banning out, I think, a mix of both offlaners and mid laners for a very good reason, but at the same time, what would Angel play here? We could see him go for maybe a reach in a hero pick like the Morphling, which he has proven himself on already in this tournament, but it feels like there is that added risk that maybe you don't. You'd want something just a little bit safer here, but you also want something that naturally builds a Force Staff or a Hurricane Pike because there is a Slark in the game. It would be really interesting if they picked a hero like perhaps the Drow Ranger, but there's no way. And there isn't a way. Okay, that's their
Wow.
counter pick.
Right?
That's the direct counter to Slark. It's de facto. That is the hero you pick up whenever that Slark is meta. Whenever Slark was the best hero in Dota on that first change of Dark Pack, Bloodseeker got resurrected from the grave for that sole reason. So even though this is something that, of course, Angel is almost forced into, this is not an Angel not comfort pick either. Angel has played this many times before, of course, across a variety of patches, but not all too much has changed. And when he does get this hero, he does just kind of look like a beast. Not to mention, he's still going to be alacritied. He's still just going to do whatever he wants. Now, their tower push is, yet again, not the most fantastic, but if they want to fight and they take those long fights that the Io and the Leshrac want to take, that Thirst is going to stack up real quick. Not Not to mention, you're playing Bloodseeker versus Slark. As soon as he gets low, he doesn't have that reset. You have to be so careful if you're Kentaro, because that vision just ruins you.
Actually, kind of funny. It took my brain a second to reboot there. So used to seeing the Bloodseeker in that position 3 role, they picked it up, and I was just kind of confused. It's like they already have the Tide, and I straight up forgot that the position 1 Bloodseeker was even a possibility, but well, they'll put it in Angel's hands. As you said, it works well against the Slark. Over on the Lava side, though, they do get themselves the LC, so there is now maybe a little bit more in the way of both lockdown and some defensive capabilities. We saw earlier today, Husky in the position 5 version of the hero was absolutely able to save some nearly guaranteed deaths on his teammates and just sort of get them away from those traps.
Yeah, just absolutely on point, and that's where Frank is going to need to be as well. Of course, this hero, it struggles to get into that mid lane. It's not very tanky. It's a kill offlaner. It's someone you need to make those successful rotations with, but at the same time, he doesn't really have too much to worry about. He's going to be able to kind of do whatever he wants. Not to mention, he has a pretty good lane set up already for him. Lane versus the Bloodseeker, you're just going to get right clicked if you're Angel. You're just going to get forced out pretty early. Not to mention, he's paired up with that IO, so you have that overcharge, you have that level 2 timing where you might just get an easy kill on him. But that's also where the Lich is going to do everything in his power to try and be obnoxious. It's where that Lich armor actually does kind of help you in these instances. But we'll have to see. There's a lot of counter picking going on in this draft. I think yet again Lava have the better push, but at the same time we saw that Thunder Predator couldn't care less in that first game.
Yeah, they were just able to sort of, well, power their way through it regardless. So we shall see how this one goes. That position 1 Bloodseeker really will be the answer to the Slark on the opposing side. As Thunder Predator are going to be looking for the 2-0 sweep here to advance to that upper bracket final for a matchup against 4 Zoomers, or if Lava are going to be able to pull it back here. Every other series so far in the playoffs has ended up going that full 3 games. So Lava would not like to be the first team to break that trend. We'll see what they can do here as we do get the match underway. Smokes out from both sides, though, so the move speed's going to be relatively equal here. We'll see if they actually clash in the river. Thunder Predator will be the first ones to get to that spot, and Lava being very careful here. They're not going to push that far forward. Had MJZ just sort of made that maneuver, would have been caught out, but there's still a potential play. Thunder Predator actually going for a bit of a wraparound here onto the ramp.
Gotta be so careful here. You have that night vision from the Slark. Of course, Gotaro is going to try and scout out for his team, but you get a little bit too close towards that cliff. Oscar skills up the gush. He's going to wait until he knows he gets that kill because of how important that anchor smash is going to be versus the Slark at those early levels. But at the same time, all it takes is one mistake, or they could wait the entire duration here and then just make the dive on whoever goes for that top bounty room. That could be the play, knowing that they have this high ground ward. It's something that Lava, they can only feel it out. They got to be a little bit scared.
Bit of a pause here as Lava need a little bit of time, so aren't going to quite get our answer to the question of whether or not we're going to see this engagement early just yet. Not sure what this pause is for just yet. Nobody's DC'd, so hopefully it's just something minor and we can get back to it, but just very sort of tense early on here as Thunder Predator. I mean, they're not going to jump the gun too early at this point. They are waiting, and if they don't get the play, they're probably just going to back off. I don't think they really force anything, but Lava, they're doing a fantastic job of just sort of not taking that bait and falling into the trap.
Yeah, and they are just poised. They're waiting. They know that if anybody steps a little bit too far forward, the punish is going to be very simple for them. And looks like they are going to get started here. Oh, wait. What's going on? Just some back and forth.
Not quite yet. Again, we're still not 100% sure what that pause is for. Kind of wish that I could read more Spanish, and by more, I mean basically any. But as we always say, in terms of these pauses, until the admin actually gets involved, time's not a factor. It's just as long as Lava will sort of need. But what are they really set up for here on their own side while we remained paused? They were able to get the early vision down in the south side jungle, got the sentry in place to block out that camp. Whoops, that's the wrong key. Go. I'll get to see my my start menu for half a second. There you go. Congratulations. But they are looking really mostly to just sort of make sure that that off lane is set up in a position where they can sort of be as aggressive as they care to be. I don't know if they're actually going to go in for any sort of early kills, but you want to be able to make those plays. If anybody comes in for the rotations, they want to have that information right away, as we are going to get the match back underway.
Yeah, and they are giving up a little bit of the initiative in this game. They would love to get a small camp block coming in from that sentry, and they will place the observer here. This is so smart from Lava, though. They see absolutely no one with the Slark night vision, so the play almost has to be given up on, because it's not like Thunder Predator are just going to forfeit one of their runes, so nothing happens. And that's exactly what Lava would have wanted.
They avoid the fight. They do end up losing that Ops Ward mid, though, as the sentry was thrown down. Panda and Matthew were able to take that out, so they will lose out on a little bit of gold here early to their opponents in the vision, obviously, but MJZ, nice play himself, goes for the D ward on that high ground, and that's effectively gonna just kind of blind everybody in this sort of top lane area, but we'll see how this lane goes. Kataro on the Slark as opposed to the Juggernaut the last time around. Feels like maybe between himself and the Tusk, they've got more punish potential. You see already, with the early point up in the Essence Shift, Oscar, he can't touch the lane. Anytime he tries to get up to the creep wave, Kataro just sort of forces him back.
Yeah, and that's where I think the Tusk is just a much better 5 to be paired with this Slark. It feels like he's going to get sacked a little bit, but that's also where you look over to Matthew, who is doing his job. He's getting his creep pull going. He's trying to get that wave back. It's something that Kataro needs to now pull that creep wave behind his own tower, but at the very least, this Slark is just going to be losing a full wave, and okay, making some aggressive moves on Oscar, but Anchor Smash really kills any of the real damage coming through there.
They can be annoying, they can push him away, but they really are going to lack for true kill potential in this sort of early stage. But if he gets the Slark farm, I don't really think they care about the kill potential for the time being. Meanwhile, over on the opposite side, this is a duo that I am kind of interested in seeing. We know that Bloodseeker in the position 3 role often likes to play with those heroes who can just sort of set up his Blood Rite, and Panda, technically speaking, can do that. The slow from the Frost Blast, the Sinister Gaze in the right spot as well, could get that Blood Rite damage guaranteed. So we'll have to see if they go for that sort of play in the near future once Angel actually has some levels up here.
Yeah, and we'll see. Of course, you are very level dependent on this Lich. You're going to need to get that level 3 moment where you have that second point in Frost Blast where the Q just immediately starts hurting, incredibly so, but at the same time, you've got a healer. Unless they get on top of the Wisp, you're not really going to see that same level of aggression coming out. I think kind of boring lane until we hit maybe that level 3 or 4 mark.
Yeah, early on, really not a lot of potential there. They are going to have to need the lockdown and multiple points, and the Blood Rite to really do much of anything, which is kind of the situation across the board here, although Oscar, he is getting hit up. The shards are in a nice spot to sort of force him to take the longer path around, but I mean, Kataro still can't quite hit that hard in this early stage, so it's a nice bit of harassment. You steal some stats, always going to be useful. Push Oscar back a bit, but it really does feel like both sides across really all of the lanes are just looking for the last hits right now. Poking and prodding where they can, but nobody wants to take any fight too seriously right now.
They just know it's going to be worth not as much in the long term. At the same time, mid lane is also more or less a draw here. Of course, with the Lesh being able to rotate over, you'd love to see that Wisp get on that stacking duty just a little bit sooner, but I think Leo is also just trying to set himself up as much as he can when it comes to that. This lane does get pretty obnoxious, though, for the Lesh as you go forward. You end up not wanting to be here anymore as soon as you just constantly are getting harassed out by the CMP that isn't actually going to whiff because he didn't use the Cold Snap. Okay. Dark Mega, not as good as Invoker as I, clearly, but we'll see this Invoker get aggressive, probably towards that bottom lane once he does have that urn, even though, again, playing versus the LC, we see a lot of the Invokers who do go for that early urn don't build into Spirit Vessel just because of that natural dispel.
Meanwhile, we do see the supports coming over, trying to secure those water runes. Matthew's going to be forced to actually grab one because he had a Tusk right behind him, although to be fair, Dark Mago, he doesn't actually have a bottle, so he didn't really need it. Instead, they'll look for the setup onto Leo Sao himself, but Kim comes in, providing the healing. And now they're going to turn. They want the kill onto Matthew. They are going to be able to get it. It's split there between both Kim and Leo Style, but they find the play, and well, MJZ, he can't go after Dark Mago for a kill, but he can at least make sure that the Invoker didn't have anything further to do in that fight.
Yeah, just boxes him out, and that is always the threat, where now that you do have this mid Invoker, all you need is the Wisp coming over, and then suddenly the kill is impossible. You can't really be your own damage at this stage of the game. You need it coming from someone else, whether it's the Bloodseeker or the Nyx Assassin coming in at level 6. It is going to be a struggle. However strong you are in the side lanes, whenever it comes to you, you really can't do all too much.
Matthew has TP'd himself bot after that death in the middle lane, so we'll see what sort of position he can get himself into. He's going to try to wrap around. Kim should get the vision on him, though, but they're still giving it a go. They need the Impale. They are going to get it onto Kim. Now the Bloodright comes in, and that's just too much damage to really defend against. Frank, he had already sort of used the Oppress the attack, so he didn't have it there to try and heal his IO up, and the rotation from Matthew will get Thunder Predator their first kill of the game. He's going to drop a ward here to get vision over that small camp as well, and well, I don't know if he really wants to try for a play here. Without the mana burn, I think they might be missing that little bit of extra damage from Dark Mago, but yeah, they're not really going to try it. Matthew's just going to make his way back up top very slowly, but he got the job done, and honestly, the Tide is durable enough to just sort of be sitting here by himself.
Yeah, the lane definitely gets harder once you get a few more levels, but at the same time, with the Anchor Smash buildup, if you're just constantly forcing the creep wave into the Slark, he wants the creeps. He doesn't just want to hit you all the time. But yeah, mid.
They did hit Leo Style up. They burn the mana away. Panda gets in with that Sinister Gaze, but it's not quite enough for the kill. But there's not really a response from Lava either. They push just far enough to make sure Thunder Predator have actually given up on that attempt. Now, MJZ, I mean, he gets the D ward down, but that Obs ward was giving vision over, so he needs to make sure he can get out okay. Snowball gonna come in. Matthew turns around for the Impale, though. They get the Cold Snap down as well. Leo Style's gonna try to come in to help, but there's that Sinister Gaze pulling MJZ back in. Tornado will connect. EMP coming through as well, connecting onto all three heroes. It's enough damage for the first kill, but Matthew's gonna get taken down in exchange. Leo Style, though, now out of mana. And Kim sort of lagging a little bit behind. Cold Snap is not going to be there in time, though.
Yeah, just not enough vision. If they had that ward still, then maybe they get that, but at the same time, you're not going to be unhappy. And actually, Dark Mako needs to be a little bit careful here. If MJZ was able to get the shards block off, then he's in a little bit of trouble. And oh, they just got 6. Oh, that's so well played from them.
Dark Mako turns around for the Tornado. The EMP comes out, but he's still trapped inside of the shards. The Fairy Fire was popped, but it's not enough. And as you said, that timing, they hit 6, they go in with the Pulse Nova, and the Invoker really had no way of knowing that play was happening. But over on the other side of the map, Frank, he's getting jumped in on an exchange. They pull him back in with that Sinister Gaze. They'll sew him up, but now Angel, he doesn't want to dive the tower for that one. So Frank is able to survive that with the help of his own Press the Attack, and Lava can't get that return play that they wanted. Now Oscar, well, I'm not really sure this turns into anything. MJZ is just sort of trying to track him, but yeah, doesn't actually want the fight.
Yeah, and it's those awkward situations where you don't really have all too much damage. You need someone to kind of get their levels and then be the damage in this type of game. And Dark Mago, despite kind of the counter in the LC, is saying that I'm gonna need damage this game. He's got the Vessel queued up, which honestly doesn't feel very nice. Unfortunately for MJZ, however, I think this might just be his life. The MP didn't do a lot of damage, but he needs the snowball towards, I think. Yep.
Dark Mago, though, has been holding the Tornado, so if there was any sort of reinforcing play coming from Leo and Kim, he was going to be able to shut that down, but they didn't need it. That duo can't push in enough. Oscar gets the kill, and MJZ, he gets taken down. That is a bummer, but he kept that double damage rune out of Thunder Predator's hands, so it's an unfortunate death, but I think it's one that's still going to be better than what the alternative would have been.
Yeah, and really, all of the action is just in the mid lane. Everyone keeps walking over. Unfortunately for Dark Mago, all this EMP damage just keeps on getting healed up through bottles, through the wisps, so nothing is actually slowing down Leo Style all too much here, while Kataro is actually the one getting kind of harassed by the Nyx.
Matthew, gotta be a little bit careful here. He needs to time out those stuns. The snowball, though, is still coming, and yeah, MJZ is gonna hit him up with the shards, gets the kill, and If that were just Kitaro the whole way through, I think maybe Matthew can dance his way out of it, but the arrival of the Tusk really just sort of makes it too hard to time out as Frank, he's going to get hit up by the Rupture here in the bottom lane. They're pushing it onto him. Leo Style wants into this fight, but he's not going to get here in time to actually save his buddy, but he is still pushing. Who can he get? Dark Mago is going to be able to walk away. Panda is the next target up. That Pulse Nova should be enough damage to bring him down, and now Dark Mago, he really needs to fall back. He's not going to be able to get away. The sentry gets thrown down, and Dark Mago will fall. Kim's now going to try and pull his teammate out. No, he actually stops the tether because it would have pulled him further back, but that's a weird relocate. But it doesn't really matter. Leo Style gets out. Kim may still need some help, though, but there's actually no one here to pressure him because Angel just decides to fall back. Doesn't really have any backup any longer.
Yeah, you just get a little bit too close towards that Leshrac. You run out. You are Quasplex Invoker. You got 4 spells. You know, once you use everything, you pretty much are useless. And at that same time, Oscar really didn't want to get involved, and they're doing a good job of just running at Angel. They're trying to keep him out of his own jungle. It is just a rotation towards that Arcane Rune, but at the same time, putting pressure on this Bloodseeker is going to be really important so Kitaro can actually play his hero on that top side. Angel's also gone for what I believe is, yeah, the finished up Maelstrom here, so he does a lot of damage, but look at the stack. Getting sniped out.
They throw the Rupture down. There's going to be the Sinister Gaze. The Snowball, though, is going to come out defensively. They dodge the EMP as well as the Blood Right. And now they might just turn the fight. Leo Style is still in a little bit of danger, but Frank comes in, drops the duel. Panda locked down, and this fight really is starting to turn. Angel's going to get taken down, and Dark Mago, he doesn't have the damage for the kill. Now they're going to jump in after him because he has no spells left. Leo Style picks him off. Triple kill for the Leshrac, and Thunder Predator, I don't know if they were all on the same page there. By the time they're into the fight, it's already too late to back out.
Yeah, and of course, they don't want to bring Oscar because towers aren't at stake, but I feel like you almost want to get him involved just to get him in these fights, because that's the second time where you just don't kill Leo Style. You try to disrupt the IO, and unfortunately, you get nothing this time. Everything goes over to Leo Style. Dude just got way too greedy, and you're playing versus a maxed out press the attack, more or less, as well as Moose. I mean, Moose is never going to let his guy just die for free, and sure, Matthew can be obnoxious with the mana burn, and it looks like they did get a return kill mid, but now it's Thunder Predator's turn. They got to do something with this Tide. He's the highest level on their team. It's time to make his presence known.
And there's going to be the Tornado into the EMP, clipping onto 2. Leo Style pulled in by the Sinister Gaze. Will Oscar pull the trigger, though? No. They don't want to drop the Ravage onto the Tier 1 tower. Also, Dark Mako still just doesn't have a lot of damage. That Quaswex build really doesn't do a lot of good in terms of just finding quick pickoffs. Feels like they need to get Angel involved if they get that sort of, or want to get that damage in. And Angel, I mean, we pointed out earlier, he went for the early Maelstrom. He's got the Rupture back up, but that Blood Right is not going to provide a lot of damage. He really is just all right-click base, but there's going to be the Ravage coming out. The defensive Snowball, though, does come in, but the Chain Frost, it's bouncing to every single target they wanted. Just pinballing between Leo Style and MJZ. They don't get Kim. He's able to back away, but with Leo Style out of the picture, this may be Thunder Predator's moment. They're trying to push their way forward for that Tier 1, but Frank and Kim are here to try and defend it, so I don't think they want to go much further than that, but that's a team fight we said they needed. It does cost Oscar his life, but the initiation was there.
Man, it's too easy for them, honestly. That was just really well played, and Pandaboo 100% carried that fight. There was a universe there where MJZ just snowballs after the Ravage, he saves everyone, and then they walk out yet again. That would just be absolutely disastrous for them, but not in similar fashion in Game 1. This Ravage is everything. They don't have that lasso to make plays in the interim. They're going to be kind of looking for engagements few and far between. They still need to do a really good job of keeping as much mana out of the Leshrac's pool as possible, because he is still just incredibly strong. And I think defending this mid tower, Oscar's already set up, and he is going to be kind of the one anchoring it down. But at the same time, without this Ravage, they could just simply try to ignore him and then go for everyone else or the tower in itself. It's where they really need to be cautious of their positioning here. If heroes like the Lich or the Nyx Assassin get picked off, they just immediately run at your buildings, and there really isn't much that Oscar can do. He's just going to be spread a little bit too thin. Not to mention, Kitaro finished up his Diffusal Blade. He's going to come at you, like, now. He's going to get ready and make his presence known in these fights, and if you stay for just a few too many seconds, then suddenly you don't have mana to play with. You don't have anything, and then he's just going to pick you off.
Yeah, Kitaro very much looking to get involved now, and, well, they are going to be able to scout him out. They see the Diffusal Blade picked up, so it's not like Thunder Predator won't know what they're going up against. It's just a matter of really how well they deal with it. How long can they keep the Slark either at arm's length, or how effectively can they maybe just jump in onto him first? If they can pick that Slark off at the very start of the fight, he isn't always the most durable of heroes, as Matthew hits him with the stun. The mana burn comes out as well, but there's no one close enough to really follow it up.
It is crazy though when these two teams specifically clash. They just don't play Dota like anyone else. And MJZ getting hit up by that vessel and doesn't get
Snowball.
anything forced. He's so patient.
Tornado
Okay.
won't hit either, so yeah, he just walks away, although I want to heal up quickly so that those thirst bonuses go away. He does have a full charged up wand, so could try to pop that here as Leo style. Gonna get hit up actually by that cold snap into the blood right. They hit him up with the gush there for a moment as well, but they really don't want the fight. Oscar just wants the tower, but now Kataro comes in. There's going to be another refusal. That forces out the Ravage, though. Kataro's able to walk it off, but his teammates do get pushed a little bit further back. Now the Tornado flies through, connecting onto multiple heroes. MJZ is going to get taken down. Kataro has to leap away, but that means Leo Style sort of stuck in the middle of the fight. Kim is able to get to him with the tether, but now the Rupture's in play, but here comes Frank in for the duel, trying to get Matthew quickly and easily. They do find him. They're on to Oscar as well for the secondary kills. Kataro does finally find his mark, but boy, that was a lot that they had to sort of wait out there. They do lose MJZ, but they get 2 kills and a duel win, and while they lost their tower, they're now immediately in a position to push for their opponents.
And they were doing such a good job of stalling out. They were trying to burn the luscious mana, and okay, Frank, I mean, he's got to press the attack. He's fine. The mana burn didn't happen in time, and okay. They even get the reload save, but
100% necessary, but they didn't want to take chances. Frank's pulled away, but if you're Thunder Predator, what are they looking for? They actually have eyes on Kataro there on the backline. He doesn't have his ult. Well, he has it now. Should be okay. Meanwhile, Leo Style pushing forward. The snowball connects onto Oscar. Oscar, with no Ravage, needs help. Nice Deafening Blast in from Dark Mega, but now Kataro rejoining the fight. He's going to be able to use that Dark Pack to remove that little bit of sort of lockdown onto him, and now the duel coming out onto Dark Mega. They'll lock him down. Kim falls as well, though, so now they need to be careful. They don't really have an out with the IO dead, and look at Angel going to work, dishing out the damage. They'll take down Frank. They've got the snowball there that they can just really continue to track down. Rupture's deployed. Angel finishes off the double, and for Lava, just maybe a bridge too far on that one. Just trying to go in for one last play, and that time it's going to cost them. They get the Invoker, but they lose 3. Might have just wanted to take the Tier 1 tower and back.
man, Thunder Predator are so obnoxious. There's so much mana burn, there's so much kite that they're actually getting away with in a lot of these fights, but it's where Lava are also just completely prepared for those eventualities. It's just crazy. They are literally only playing to burn out these mana, trying to get that safety from knowing that the Lesh can't make those easy jumps, and I mean, they win a fight pretty convincingly without Ravage, just them throwing their bodies at each other, and Angel, he's got BKB. He is ready. He is looking for another big fight. Arguably, whenever they push up towards this top tier 2 tower, they could look for a smoke as well. The biggest concern, though, is whoever he does end up rupturing does have that easy relocate save. It's where we're really going to need items like a Blink Dagger or any disconnect coming in from the Nyx Assassin to try and find these kills. And Oscar, oh, okay.
They get the duel down. Do they have the damage to win the duel? I'm not sure, but they can certainly get the kill, and okay. They do get the win there. Frank with a little bit of bonus damage. The relocate is committed, and now Kim pulled Kataro in with him. I'm not really sure this is a place that they want it to be. Kataro is in a little bit of danger, but they're actually going to go for the IO first, make sure they can get the easier kill, and Kataro, I mean, he's not in danger of getting picked off, but he also has no chance to turn around and fight once the IO is taken away from him.
Yep, it's a really easy turn kill. I think they're going to be quite happy with that, and Dark Mago, he's the one hunting up here.
Tornado on the 2. Wall is down. But that's a lot of stun coming in. Dark Mago just going to drop. Angel, though, he wants to push in for the fight, but Leo Style, I mean, yeah, he wins. With the backup he's got, that's not really a fight that they can afford to take, but now the reinforcements come out. The Chain Frost not bouncing spectacularly. But Angel is looking for kills anyway. He's trying to get onto MJZ. Will be able to find it. His teammates, meanwhile, continue to push forward. Oscar, he actually just force staffs himself in for the Ravage. They get Leo Style. They're in onto Frank now as well. They've got the Silence down on top of him, and Kim. There's no relocate. Oh, hold up. Toggling the armlet. The Gush, though, does come in. They need that little bit of extra damage, but Frank's able to blink himself over the camp, and
oh, it's insane. That's so good. So clean from him, and he just walks it out. He's actually just completely fine. And I think Dark Mago, he's trying to set up for his team. He knows that they want that fight just because the BKB is finished up on the Seeker, but it just gets a little bit too messy, I think, for them in that engagement. But man, Oscar just completely pulls it back. If that Ravage doesn't land, that all just looks absolutely terrible for them. Got 3 core kills. You're completely chilling now. You still don't have any good answer versus this Slark in that bottom area of the map. That is Slark territory. Can't really take it back from at this stage of the game, and he's got a BKB as well, so this backline is just going to shatter. Thunder Predator have to do such a good job of protecting them, otherwise... Okay. Steps through. Nope.
They get the duel down onto Panda. They'll take him out first, or at least attempt to. They're actually not going to win the duel. And Panda, he's still alive. He doesn't have a Chain Frost, but he is going to be able to get down the Sinister Gaze. That allows Angel to jump in. They'll take down Frank, but they've lost both of their supports now on that Thunder Predator side. And Dark Mago, he is in some trouble. He needs help, but Oscar can't really do much other than, okay, never mind. A very clutch force staff coming in, but this Tornado isn't available. The Snowball gets them directly on top of that Invoker a second time. And they do lock him down, and this is going to be the issue for this Thunder Predator lineup. We were talking about how much they needed Oscar to hit those Ravages. When he doesn't have it, they're just vulnerable, and they're maybe only about half as effective in terms of taking those engagements.
Yeah, and unfortunately for him, it's not even his fault. And they're just trying to set up onto Leo stuff. They're doing such a fine job of limiting the plays that Leo can make specifically because they're just always hounding him with this mana burn. But that's where Kataro could care less. He's really just trying to carry this game, and I'm really concerned. Aside from that Rupture, if he's not the one getting ruptured, there isn't that same idea of control that Angel's actually able to put out. And sure, they're pretty much neck and neck carry-wise, but mid.
Duel on to Oscar. They're going to throw the Blood right in, though. The Chain Frost is going to bounce around a little bit as well, and Oscar... Well, he's actually not dead yet. MJZ's the one who falls. Angel going to work. He's looking for Leo-style Kim, desperately trying to heal his teammate up, and now the BKB comes out. The Bloodseeker will continue to charge. They need to be able to get somebody, but the relocate will pull them away. So instead, they're going to turn their attention onto Kataro, trying to lock down the Slark. Angel is just a goddamn race car, just moving his way across the fight. They do take Kataro down. Now they want more. Frank, you cannot be farming there, you very greedy boy. That's... I mean, he saw the fight happening. That just felt... That felt like trying to go for a little bit too much, and Angel will gladly take another kill.
Yeah, and now you have your Basher, now you have that ability to actually stick on the heroes that you go on for those BKBs. It's a really nice reload, saving the Leshrac there, but at the same time, I feel like they're going to be a little bit unhappy with the outcome of that fight, and you know, you got Ravage again. It's going to be your moment. As soon as Frank respawns here, you're going to look to immediately get aggressive back out onto the map, but how many more fights is it going to take before Angel just has way too many items? Of course, the Basher is a nice small item, but the next item down the pipeline, whether it's going to be a Butterfly, a Scotty, or a Satanic, is going to be incredibly difficult to deal with, and they still are limiting the Leshrac. They keep on finding those mana burn plays, and unfortunately, the attention is split with the IO. You can only tether one of your teammates, and usually it's to give the attack speed over to Kataro. I think Moose almost needs to switch it up a little bit because Leo is just getting kind of zoned off and just getting everything taken away from him. It'd be a nice smoke play. And Matthew...
Getting into the tree line.
Oh, they're not popping. They're not going to check.
Vendetta now comes out. They do have the detection, so Matthew was clipped by it, and there's going to be the duel. They do blink in. Matthew should go down here, but Oscar, look at him go. Can he get in there? There's no Ravage, though, so this is still going to be risky, but the Chain Frost... well, it hit Kataro once, and now it's bouncing between Ancients, so that's not fantastic. But Angel, he's still doing so much damage. MJZ will be taken down, and the fight effectively going to reset. Kataro, with the BKB wearing off, doesn't want to be here anymore. Well, I don't really think there's going to be much more than that. Matthew is going to go scouting, but he would need that sort of cutoff angle. Maybe he can get to the ramp in time. I'm not going to take the chance.
Oh.
Do they try... No, okay, they're not going to try for Roche, but Kataro, he's been spotted. He's able to purge off pretty much everything, though, with the Dark Pact, and I think he's going to get away. The Tornado did technically connect, but now it's the Leshrac that they're going to jump in on. Angel pops the BKB, looking to push in. Kim doing as much healing as he can, but it may not be enough. Meanwhile, the duel from Frank thrown down onto Dark Mago. Do they have the damage? Not quite yet. The Ravage now comes out. Dark Mago does still fall, though.
No.
They can't do this anymore. They have to run. Oscar force staffing himself back. Angel already backed away once his BKB wore off. And Lava... They know they have this opening. They'll get Panda. They want Oscar as well. Can they lock him down? They get the slow from the Lightning Storm. And Leo Style finishes it with the Pulse Nova. That was a Ravage that does hit multiple targets, but that Ravage was coming in as really the entirety of the lineup was trying to back away.
Yeah, he just rushed it a little bit too much there, and now unfortunately the cost is going to be a relatively easy Roche for Lava. I think they just strayed a little bit too close towards that high ground. They didn't have any wards placed up there, so unfortunately they don't have the sight to actually take that fight, even though they were looking for picks. And it's also where you don't have a Blink Initiator on Thunder Predator. Everyone's done a really good job of getting these 4-staffs up early. We've got 4-4-staffs versus the Slark. Kataro is struggling to stay on these targets, but it's also where you get clipped by a duel or a splitter, and then suddenly your opponents just have such an easier time when it comes to finding these fights. These are the picks bottom, though. This would be huge.
They get the stun, they get the Vendetta hit, they get the follow-up with the Impale. The Blood Right will now come down. Kim doesn't have the relocate, so they need to rush TPs. Look at all the heroes coming in. Kataro, though, well, he knows. The Rupture just got used, so he doesn't have a whole lot to be worried about as he is going to push his way forward. Can they catch up to anyone, though? Dark Mago taking a step back, trying to get the slow in with the Ghost Walk. Long enough range of the TP away, but now Dark Mago himself needs to be careful that he doesn't get caught. Looks like for now he's going to be able to get away, but that does leave Matthew really to just sort of take the brunt of that damage, but I think he's okay with that. If Dark Mago can get out, Angel already TP'd home, so they do get away safely. The problem is that was their attempt to kill the Leshrac that they then had to run away from.
Yeah, and that's also super duper sick from Dark Knight going, oh, that was the dust on the courier. So he just keeps on getting away, but that was so sick from Dark Mago stopping the pounce on the Bloodseeker's TP there, and then just fingers crossed they didn't have any vision on any of the heroes that were surrounding that Bloodseeker in the trees. I mean, if he doesn't do that, Angel is just dead. You don't have a Bloodseeker now for the foreseeable future. Unfortunately, everything else isn't really looking up in that same space. Leo Style is more or less out of the danger zone. Of course, he's only died twice in this game, but with the Eternal Shroud too, you just have that much more mana, and when your opponents actually use their spells on you like they have, you get the return. So unfortunately, this game is becoming more and more difficult for Thunder Predator. We're going to need to see a pretty crazy fight, and pretty soon, I'd think, because we are running out of a lot of these powerful item timings, and with the way that they're all itemizing on the Thunder Predator side, they're almost saying we can't fight. We're just going to itemize to survive and then look for possibly a later timing after this ages, because Angel's just getting a Lincoln Spear. We're getting a Midas on Dark Mago. It feels like they're struggling to stay relevant in this game, and they're itemizing to look for those later timings because of that.
Yeah, and I suppose it is a pivot that they could pull off. The Slark's scaling is, you know, it's still going to be there, but he's not exactly one of those massive late game heroes. But it just feels a little bit strange right now based on their lineup. They don't really have the openings that they thought they would have at this stage. So we'll see how long they can draw this one out for. We'll see if that Lincoln Sphere on Angel matters. And it should be said at this point, there is still always that Ravage play. Oscar has been maybe a little hit or miss with some of those Ravages, but when it does come through for them, Thunder Predator could still win the fight. It's just that those fights now, rather than getting them a definitive edge, will maybe just be used for the purposes of trying to delay the game. As the duel in onto Dark Mago down bot. Frank's able to get that lockdown once again. The Invoker is gone, and Frank is starting to really turn into much more of a damage dealer. He's got plus 90 so far.
Yeah, and it's just as simple as that. You blink duel, you have to spread out on the map if you're a Thunder Predator. You have to try and draw out this game as long as you can while you're actively not fighting your opponents. It's unfortunate, and Pandabu, yeah, gets 4-staffed by Oscar there. Nice defensive play. It is the benefit of having a million 4-staffs. You are just able to help everyone out, but unfortunately, there really seems to be no end in sight to this pressure. There's no items down the pipeline that are going to really help or stop them. They're not going to have too much damage coming in either. It just feels like Thunder Predator is stuck in this mode where they can only be obnoxious to their opponents, where Lava have a much more concise game plan.
Yeah, and I think we've seen, what, one Rupture from Angel onto the Slark, so that sort of counterplay really has not been much of a counter to this point, but Angel, oh, I don't know. We could still see that sort of machine gun Bloodseeker coming into play, because in the fights that they've been able to take, Angel has been racking up the kills. You take a look at his stat line, he's sitting at 11-1, so he still has been able to do plenty. It's just most of the time he's losing too much of his own team in the process to really win it out definitively, but I don't know. He continues to build himself up. Lincoln Sphere has been picked up, so between that and the BKB, it is going to be hard to keep Angel contained.
Yeah, the Aegis is ticking out. It will be done here in 7 seconds, but that's also where I'm just scared of Kataro. Kataro is a very scary man, especially if he's able to get a Silver Edge up versus Thunder Predator's lineup. That is the endgame goal here. If Kataro gets a Silver Edge, then suddenly not only can the Tidehunter not show in these fights, but neither can Kataro until after that break's committed, because it just ruins your hero. It just takes away the thirst, ruins all of your attack speed or damage, and suddenly you can't really be a core. And they're smoking. They know the Aegis is gone. They've got the Lincoln Sphere, and they do find MJZ, but it's just a Tusk.
Yeah, I mean, they'll get it. As you said, though, it's just a Tusk. It's not overly valuable, but they do smoke up immediately afterwards, and now they could bait someone in the river. They do hit up Katara. They're going to get him with the Rupture into the Ravage. The BKB was popped by Katara, though, but he doesn't have a whole lot of HP, so Kim has to come in looking for the kill. Meanwhile, Frank on the backline got the duel, locking down the Lich, trying to keep that Chain Frost out of the fight. Panda does survive the duel, but will end up going down immediately after. But now look at Angel going to work, getting down a couple of bashes onto the Leshrac, so Leo style will fall. And they're trying to chase onto Frank as well, but yeah, they can't cancel the blink. Frank blinks and TPs, and Katara was able to get away, but, well, Thunder Predator, that's a solid maneuver. They get 2 kills. They only have to sacrifice Panda on the Lich, and I think, honestly, that's probably the best case scenario for them. Obviously, they would have liked to get the Slark, but once the IO's in there and starts up the healing process, they really can't break through just yet.
No, they're going to need to wait for a little bit more damage here, but here's where Angel's kind of defensive build does get shored up by Dark Mago. Dark Mago is just going to Solar Crest him, give him that alacrity. You actually have damage onto that tower, and honestly, Matthew just with the 3-man impale, that was the real ravage in that game, just because Oscar, not with having that Blink Dagger, it still feels really hard for him to find those plays, and they gotta be careful here. If Angel gets dueled, he will just die. Oh, 5 seconds on his... Oh, no.
Okay, Lincoln's popped. There's the duel, though, onto Dark Mago. They need to be able to save him, but they really don't have the means to just yet. Yeah, Dark Mago will get taken down. Angel, you cannot take this fight any longer, has to back out. Chain Frost, bounces a couple of times. Damage isn't great, though, and Thunder Predator will continue the retreat, but the shards going to come in. They need to force staff their way over it. They will do so, but that means Panda has to be left behind. And they may still be losing even more. Matthew's going to get caught out as well. Leo style will bring him down, so... well, they'll lose 3, and Lava are right back where they were before, pushing their way forward, looking for the tier 2 tower mid, and we saw the Lincoln Sphere play out from the Bloodseeker. Maybe Dark Mago needs a little bit more defensive itemization as well, and yeah, he starts queuing up the Lincolns, but that is several thousand gold away still, and in the meantime, their base is under attack.
And there's nothing they can do. Katara is just the endless siege engine. Of course, they're going to be happy with getting Glyph. They're the team with the Lesh. Because now, if they ever win a fight on Radiant side, they just take a Rax. There's nothing you can do if you're Thunder Predator at that point. It's just kind of par for the course. And that's where Oscar, still looking at his Blink Dagger, if this Tide has it, then maybe we could see those chance initiations where you're barely able to burst out that Slark before he gets that initial Dark Pact off. And this is their 3rd smoke. They're running low here on plays that they can actually make here, because this is, I think, the last one for a good 5 minutes. And do they really want MJZ? Are they just going to take him? Okay, maybe a little bait here. They want Frank, but they just have to work for this.
Well, Kataro and Leosaro coming in, though. They want the fight. Dark Mago, he just got dueled up again. Kataro needs to be able to get in there, but he's actually going to shift targets. The Splitter, they just hit on 3, but Angel, able to pop the BKB. They're going to try to fight. The Chain Frost comes in, but the BKB's active. It's not doing much damage. Now, though, that damage starts coming into play with the Ravage being deployed. Lava have to back off at least for a moment. They've taken down Oscar, but they need more. And now the Deafening Blast is going to push that Slark back a little bit, but now Frank blinks in. Still not able to lock anyone down, and looks like Thunder Predator are going to be able to get away with most of their lineup, although Matthew is going to get caught out. Katara jumps in with that pounce. And Matthew, he's making him work for it, but eventually they do bring him down.
Yeah, and it's hard fought. It is a little bit messy across the board, but at the same time, these are just easy kills. Lava, they got so low there, but that's the name of this game. They get low, they get healed up by the Isle, they get purged off with the press the attack, and then you don't get the kill. And then you expend so much intel. Now there's no way for them to protect or defend against this Roche. It's just going to be another free play for Lava, and it feels like Thunder Predator, they're running out of those easy engagements that it felt like maybe a little bit earlier they could find those really whenever they wanted, because the cores are just massive on the Lava side. And now Leos, now he's got, what, 3 defensive items? He's just not really feasibly going to die unless he gets caught without BKB, and he took a lot of damage there from both the Spirit Vessel and the Chain Frost, but it just doesn't matter, and here's your next Aegis.
Yep. They push in, they will get it very much for free. Thunder Predator, they've got to really dig deep here in terms of the high ground defense. Aegis and Shard both being picked up by Kataro, so I mean, they don't really have too many options in terms of getting onto this Slark, so they just have to focus on the rest of the lineup instead. Maybe just go for the quicker pickoffs onto Frank and Leo style, but even that has not been easy, as we've seen in these past couple of engagements. Thunder Predator just have not been able to break through.
No, and more importantly, if Angel has to pop his Rupture on the Slark who has Aegis just to control him, it is most likely going to be a lost fight. This Rupture is actually a large sum of Thunder Predator's damage. It feels like they don't really have a lot of that burst potential. They don't really have any burst potential, and no one's dying in these Ravages. Angel does have that Mjolnir finished up, so if he's the one getting hit, then he will have those procs bouncing, but at the same time, it's hard to feel like Lava are going to die in these situations when they've got triple BKB, heals galore, I think a full mech on that IO. It's just so difficult for them to actually finish off what they start. They would love to find the Wisp on his own by himself, but that's also where Moose, in very similar fashion to Game 1, is giving them very few opportunities to actually ever see him.
Well, Lava are going to start pushing the high ground. Kataro did get pushed in a little bit by that Force Staff play, but able to back off. Frank hits him up with the Press the Attack, which is the Shard upgraded Press the Attack now as well. So Kataro has the Magic Immunity just to make sure he gets away, and now that Silver Edge is completed. You mentioned that earlier on as a big pickup for the Slark. If he can throw that down, then, well, Thunder Predator's precarious situation gets even more complicated if that Silver Edge connects onto the likes of the Bloodseeker.
Yeah, not to mention that Kataro also got the Ag Shard. He's got the Depth Shroud, so unfortunately, even if that Ravage does land onto 4, if Kataro gets the Dark Pact off, then he just puts his teammates under, and then suddenly you don't have any targets. Everything is coming from your AoE damage, and sure, you've got an Invoker with nearly maxed out Exhort, but you don't have the control, you don't have the Ags, you don't have really anything. I think that's where Lava, they're really biding their time right now. They're pushing in, they're being clean, they're getting these waves out before they make any crazy play, but I think in the next few minutes here, if Thunder Predator aren't very careful with how they use their next glyph, we could just see buildings topple.
They've got to walk a very fine line right now. They're trying to buy time, trying to preserve resources, and maybe they could wait out the Aegis. There's still 2.5 minutes on it, though, so that seems unlikely, but they were able to survive that initial attempt onto their high ground with minimal damage being dealt, so it is certainly an option, but the normal avenues to delay this game for Thunder Predator aren't really available. If you try to send someone out to split push, there's an IO on the opposing side who could just relocate directly on top of you. So they're trying to clear the waves out as quickly as they can, and they are pretty solid at doing that, but they can't push much further than just the immediate vicinity of their own base.
Yeah, and okay, trying to be obnoxious, it's something that they are very good at. They've been obnoxious the entire game, especially Dark Mago and Matthew, just with the mana burn constantly. It's something that you get to talk about with the Leshrac being in this game. If you can keep Leosnow's mana pool at half or less, then suddenly it looks a lot scarier to actually push into these fights. But Kataro with the DD rune, I mean, he's just going to get free damage here. And as soon as they commit that glyph, that's where Leosnow will start to move in. Right now, he's just biding his time.
Tornado comes out, but he's got the Dark Pact. They have to press the attack, so Kataro is just... he just doesn't really have to care. He can do whatever he wants here. He knows Thunder Predator aren't in a position to punish him unless he makes a rather sizable mistake in terms of his own positioning. So they'll just chip away bit by bit, being incredibly patient here. And normally we always talk about maybe that line between patience and dragging your feet, but this doesn't feel like that kind of scenario because Thunder Predator... the longer this game goes on, it's not like they're really getting anything out of these delays. You see Angel, he's just running circles inside of his base, so they really aren't farming right now.
No, they can't really afford to leave either. It's the risk of playing versus IO. You just suddenly get flooded out, and that's also where Frank is just completely okay in a lot of these situations. He's the one who's really keeping everyone on that Thunder Predator side inside, because there's not much you can do versus that duel. You don't have very defensive heroes here, and for Force Staffs, it might be great versus the Slark, but they don't do much once that duel actually ends up landing. It's where the second Lincoln's on Dark Mago is going to be really nice. It's going to actually allow him to play with a little bit more confidence, but at least the Aegis is going to be out here in 1 second, so there is that degree of Thunder Predator could maybe find this Aegis target. They could find Kataro, who, in all honesty, is not very tanky. He doesn't have that Scotty yet. He doesn't have a big tanky item on the board. He doesn't have that Ag, so he is a very realistic HP pool for them to take out, but it's also where they used so many smokes before. They are literally playing the waiting game. They are waiting so much right now because as soon as they use this, they know it's over for the next few minutes. There's no good way for them to actually leave. And if they use it now, then they're not using it to contest that next Roche. So it's a very difficult decision that Thunder Predator actually have to make here, and they will go for it, but they don't want another Tusk. They want something big here with this smoke.
Yeah, they absolutely need a more valuable target, and well, Leo Style is kind of hanging around
Oh
mid,
no.
but no, that's, well, that's the Tusk again. I mean, they kill him, Gem hits the deck, but, I mean, MJZ doesn't care. Cool, I died. I dropped the Gem, that's, you know, unfortunate, but that's your smoke coming out. Thunder Predator won't have another one for quite some time, and now, oh, now they've run into Kataro. Dark Mago in some trouble. The Force Staff, though, is going to be able to pull him away, so instead they'll go on to Matthew. And Angel, he did throw down a Rupture. They're going to try and take the fight. They go in with the Ravage, but Kataro is still standing. He pops the ult. He turns around. He's starting to dish out the right-click damage. Angel really doesn't know what he wants to do right now. He is going to try to just get away from the fight, but his teammates are still kind of stuck in it. Dark Mago is trying to make his retreat from the fight as well, but the duel is going to lock him down, and they should be able to kill him off. Leo Style, meanwhile, continued the chase onto Angel. They take out the Bloodseeker, and that's going to force out some buybacks. Angel back in. Matthew rejoining the fight as well, but there's not much of a fight to rejoin now. It's just a matter of them trying to get into position to maybe stop this push onto their racks.
No, and there's the Edict. It's not an arcane runed Edict, but it's still something they can't really deal with. They're going to try and burn the mana here, but okay, it's go time right now, but they don't have any stuns. They don't have any follow-up. The 3 buybacks just got committed, and there's no revenge. There's nothing left in the tank as soon as that Ravage got used, and as soon as that Ravage did get used, it just healed up so quickly. He just put the Death Shroud in, he BKB'd, he got the press the attack put on him, and then suddenly your Slark that got ravaged and looked like he was going to die just immediately turns around, and this game is just trying to be absolutely miserable for Thunder Predator. Now, at the very least, if they do die, they will be dead back, so they won't be respawning for any time soon. But now, there is the Glyph. That's something to talk about. They can defend at least their high ground one more time. I'm just really concerned for them because Kataro just finished off that Abyssal Blade as well, so he can just 100-0 Oscar if he gets his hands on him. And of course, they have all these Force Staffs to try and avoid and dodge out what the Slark is able to put out, but it still just doesn't feel like enough. And Kataro just walks underneath the sentry relatively by himself, and there's no fear in his heart. It's just really hard for Thunder Predator to feel like they can actually make the plays onto these cores. Even the Lesh feels almost unkillable at this point.
Rupture on
Okay.
Kataro.
And it's done.
Okay.
Basically.
No follow-up whatsoever. Kataro, well, he doesn't even care. Walks around, takes some Rupture damage. He's just healing it all up instantly, so that's a swing and a miss out there from Angel. He's got 50 seconds left for that Rupture to be back up, and just feels like they're running really lower and lower in terms of viable options on the Thunder Predator side. Everything that they're trying just seems to be coming up empty.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that we're going to see this game kind of refocus around Roche, but if we needed to, then Lava could, and they will, because it's free. And this is the Refresher Shard. This will allow you to, at the very least, give Slark all of his abilities again, and that's just crushing. I think Kataro is going to take the Aegis, but you could even just pocket it. Or no, going to give the Aegis over to Leo Style, but he does take that Refresher, so unfortunately for you, Slark is one of the best heroes with that Refresher Shard. Of course, he doesn't have all that much mana, which means the Refresher Shard is even nicer, but there's just not a lot that Thunder Predator can do right now. They need to find a Ravage play. They need to immediately kill what feels like both Frank and Moose. Otherwise, the saves have just been numerous and time again. And now we're getting to the stage of the game where these supports are looking at items like Aeon Discs, and then there is no nullifier in sight for anyone on the Thunder Predator side. I think Lava are definitely dragging their feet a little bit when it comes to the decisions that are going to end this game real quick, but they also just aren't making the wrong decision. So they're just going to be able to push it here incredibly safely. And sure, Leo's getting harassed up here, but he's got the Aegis this time, so...
Yeah, they're just going to keep on pushing their way through. Tier 3 tower taken down. And... well, if you're Thunder Predator, I mean, what play do you have left? Oscar can maybe go for the Blink Ravage and catch people without BKB? I don't really know, but they're going to have to make a decision relatively quickly here because Lava are just going to keep on pushing in now that they have these 2 lives to work with. And, well, what is Angel building up? He did lose that ulti orb on his couriers. It was sniped out, so that means that Scotty is going to be at least 2 minutes out, even if he does get the money for the other parts. But oh boy, I mean, ET, I just don't know. They just don't really seem to have much to work with. It feels more like at this point they're just waiting to see if Lava make a mistake. They don't really have a whole lot they can do proactively themselves.
Nope, not at all. And okay, they still have Glyph. This is just your range tracks, and there is a little bit more confidence in here whenever those splitters do land. And it's hard to say the Thunder Predator aren't doing a good job of just making Leo style absolutely miserable, but well, they tried for that duel. Something messed up there, I think. Maybe they didn't pop the Lincolns correctly there because he did get the Lincolns pop on that Abyssal Blade, but at the same time, it's still just Thunder Predator immediately back on the high ground in their base. They're not able to make any pushes out, and it's not the biggest mistake either from Kataro, and they see him. He's on their mid racks. They're getting racks mid at the same time while the push is coming in top, and unfortunately, without a hero like the Legion themselves, they just don't have this easy burst. They need to rupture or ravage someone, and oh, okay.
Good force staff there. MJZ, though, not going to be punished. He's hit by the press of the attack, and he simply falls back, so there's very little that they can do. And now look at Kataro. He just makes his way down bot. He's going to be wherever Thunder Predator aren't, and slowly but surely, you feel those walls starting to close in on the Thunder Predator side. They're just losing the base bit by bit, and there really isn't much of a defense here. They're just sort of shifting resources around, and eventually they're just not going to have much left to defend at all. The top lane was taken in its entirety. They have the melee racks mid, and melee and range down bot, but that's really it. And Lava don't need to feel even the slightest bit threatened at this point. They've just been able to chip away with no consequences.
Yeah, and they've just been using the relocate as well to get resets on your Leshrac, who is continuously getting the mana burned out, but unfortunately, oh, Kataro's just gonna hit it. They might get glyphed on here. Yeah, they got a glyph, but Kataro just got sick of the game, I think. Just uses BKB to force that out, and if they're not careful, I mean, this could look really sketchy for them. Okay.
Got the ranged. He's gonna throw down that shroud now as well. They are gonna hit him up with a little bit of lockdown, but oh, he was able to pop that refresher shard, so he is still looking to push his way in. Now the Leshrac pushing forward as well. That Chain Frost only bouncing really to creeps. Thunder Predator in some serious trouble here. Panda's going to get taken down. He does have a buyback. He'll use it immediately. MJZ does get picked off in exchange, though, and maybe now Thunder Predator can try for something. Leo Styles getting hit up, but Kim is right there to heal him up. There's just so much that this IO is doing for his team. I don't think they wanted to go any further forward. If they killed off Leo Style that one time, they would have to get him a second time, so they really do want to try and wait out this Aegis. They're about 30 seconds away, but look at Angel. He's trying to push his way forward. Press the attack, though. Once again, coming into play. Leo Style, though, doesn't have a whole lot of mana to work with, so maybe at this point, you do just kind of send him in and see if that Aegis can be put to use, and that does appear to be at least partially what they're doing, as the Leshrac is not backing off from this front line. The Meteor is going to be thrown down onto him, the Blood Right put under his feet as well, but he doesn't care. He's just going after the racks, going to be able to pick it up, and that's going to be the Megas. 5 seconds, though, on this Aegis, so they really do need to get Leo Style out of there, and he is going to be able to back off.
Yeah, now full mana on the Lesh, of course, and I would really hate if Lava looked towards that next Aegis, but they've got all the time and money in the world at this point. Feels like if they do wait, they're going to have like a 50k gold lead by the time this game is over, but this is also arguably their best timing. They do not have Glyph on Thunder Predator. They can do arguably that same play yet again. They do need to be very cautious of that Ravage because, of course, Oscar is finally going to be pressured into a position where he might actually have to Ravage, but the unfortunate circumstance is that Lava will just walk him in at this point. And Thunder Predator are playing versus Megas, and of course, the Tide and the Bloodseeker can deal with it pretty alright, but no one else on their team is really too adept at dealing with those creeps, so it is going to kind of grind to a halt here. Just might be a sea of diebacks, and Dark Mago,
That
poor
is
guy.
not a TP he's ever going to be able to finish. He did just get his buyback up as the timer wound down, so if they do need him, he can come back in, but still looking for... Are you... Hold up. Are you kidding me? Wow. Kim has a heart. That... It's just... That's just kind of dumb. 16k net worth on the IO, and now, I mean, that is just never-ending regen for whoever he's tethered to. There just really is seemingly no way in. Katara would have to take his hands off the keyboard, and even then, Kim might just be able to keep him healed up anyway.
Yep, and, well, this is their timing. There is an Ags finish on the Lash as well, so Angel's going to have even less time when we do actually get around him, but let's see. How do you defend your racks here? The creeps are already starting to beat into you. You got the Ice Spire, you know? You got the Lich Armors. And actually, okay, got the Rupture on the Kataro, but what will they do with this?
MJZ, that's a quick kill, but they do need to get something else. They're trying to jump on the Katara, but there's going to be the BKB activated, and well, the Slark will simply walk away. Now Thunder Predator have to try and get these creeps out of their base, so... Well, they've got a lot of wave clear. The Mjolnir just sort of firing away, but all of this just feels like delay on top of delay for Thunder Predator, and really all they got out of that was MJZ, and the Tusk. I'm not going to say that he doesn't contribute to the fight, but they could push in again without him, and if they do want him, he's working on a buyback of his own, or working with a buyback, rather, so they could get him back into the fight, make another push, but first, is that... Yes, it is. That is a Refresher Orb up on Kataro.
Yep. I mean, he was so comfy with it before. Of course, he's going to take it again, but...
It's a hell of a relocate. Directly on top of the tier 4s. The Chain Frost is going to bounce pretty nicely here. That forces out the cheese. Kataro actually pushed into his teammate, so Kim continued to take that damage from the Chain Frost, and now he has to be pulled out by the relocate. Angel, though, doesn't want to let him go. They'll hit him up with the Rupture. That's not going to be enough damage. The IO, though, is out of the fight for at least a little while, so maybe they can make a move. Angel comes in. They're going to drop down that lockdown from the Abyssal Blade, but it's still not enough. Rank comes in, gets the duel. Panda going to be taken out. No buyback available for the Lich. And at this point, it really does feel like Thunder Predator are in desperation mode. Angel's going to try to push his way forward, but he's going to get stunned up, taken down. Leo style finds the kill. Immediate buyback, though, from the Bloodseeker, but the Ancient's just been exposed. It's just taking too much damage. They don't have a glyph right now, so if Lava just focused down the objective, they could clear it out, but they would rather get the kills. They will be able to do so, and the game will end. The GG comes out, but the Ancient dies first. And Lava... Well, 52 minutes, they didn't exactly get it quickly, but Slow and Steady wins the race for them, and they tie up the series at 1-1.
Yeah, and really, the name of that game was just the dismantling of Thunder Predator. Everything just got torn apart. I think Dark Mago, 4, 12, and 18, it's not a pretty stat line to look at, but he just really didn't have anything to look forward to in that game. They have this neat idea with the Nyx Assassin that they are very capable of burning the mana of both the IO and the Lesh. I thought that was a really good answer for Thunder Predator in that first phase, but unfortunately, you're still playing versus the Lesh in the same capacity that you played versus him in game 1, where he just takes your buildings, he just kills you, he just finds his ways onto you. And I think really the huge oversight here is just not banning out that Slark. Of course, it's hard to look forward, and that is a hindsight thing for sure, in addition to Thunder Predator having first pick, so they can't really cover all of their bases, but at the same time, I felt like Lava's draft was just kind of undoubtedly good. They got exactly everything they want. They get the LC versus the Tide. They don't have any silences on Thunder Predator. They get the Bloodseeker to try and counter out that Slark, but it feels like one hero is just not enough. And both the cores, honestly, on Lava, they were just elevated to a different level because of Moose. He just honestly played fantastically on that Wisp. There really wasn't all too much. There were so many instances where Thunder Predator try for the fight, they get really close, they kill or almost kill a hero, set him to 300, 400 HP, Then he gets pressed the attack, then he gets tethered, he gets healed up, all the sticks pop, and then you don't have damage. Your quad 4 staff kind of lineup timing that they try to go for. I just don't think like Thunder Predator had item timings here. They just kind of itemized so much to play against in fear of the Slark that they didn't really have a game plan of their own, and unfortunately, kind of just all falls apart.
Yeah, they focus so much on trying to stay away from the Slark that they really never put themselves in a position to actually kill him. Kitaro goes down the one time across the entirety of the game, and that's it. So, feels like Thunder Predator just got sort of hit up by that Slark, taken by surprise, weren't really ready to deal with it, and we see the results. They give up game 2, Lava able to tie the series, and once again, we are going to have a playoff series go to that third and final game. So, one last match to determine which of these two squads will be advancing to the upper bracket final. So, we are going to step aside for just a moment while we get the teams ready to go, but when we return, it will be the start of the Game 3 draft and our final match of the evening.